Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Lovely to see you here. What a beautiful morning it is, or it certainly is here. And I think it probably is certainly in most of England anyway. And despite all this awful lockdown and virus and whatever, we really have been lucky with the weather, haven't we? I mean, if this had been in the winter, it would have been so much more depressing than it is at the moment. So, yeah, we have got that to be thankful for. Lovely to see you all here. Morning, Karen, Sarah, Rio, Julia, Pat, Shirley, Sue, Tricia. Morning, June and Roz. So I'm going to go a bit out of my little comfort zone here today. So you've got to join me because you ain't got no choice as you've come along. Morning, Heather. I say get out of my comfort zone. It isn't completely, but it's really taking a load of different things and putting them all together. And I'm hoping that we're going to come up with something very, very pretty for you today to show you. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Christine. Thanks for joining us. Morning, Sandra. I bet it's hot where you are. Sandra's in Turkey. I bet it is hot there. Good morning, Teresa. So we have got, as you can see here, the Sunday special. So that's partly what we're going to be doing. Hold on, let me just move this over there slightly so we can see a bit better. That's better. And I've got a bundle for you today, and it is flower moulding foam plus some dies plus some stamens. Now, all will become clear, and this is not a new die by any means. So some of you may well have it from quite some while ago, but let's give it a little twist. Let's make it into something quite beautiful. And also let's have a go at making flowers with flower foam, because I know a lot of people are very wary of that. And I think if you're going to have a start with this one, because this is a good one. So that's the bundle, but there's lots of other elements that I'm going to have a go at today. So we might be here just a fraction longer than we normally am, so bear with me. Morning, Nicola. Oh, you've got to work later? Oh, it's overcast. Oh, blimey, Sandra. In Turkey, overcast. Well, I dare say it'll get far too hot for the likes of me to want to be out there very soon. So yeah, shall we phone in sick for you? No, you don't want to pretend you're sick, really, do you? But yeah, it does make you think when it's weather like this, and especially if you're a key worker, it is hard when you see people, especially when you see some of these people on the beaches. We are, as probably many of you know, right by the sea, and so because we're a little village, people tend to think that, well, they'll come here instead of going to the bigger beaches, and we are very, very wary. I wouldn't say we don't want them, but we are very, very wary that we have done quite well on this virus front. Not very many deaths here. And so really we wanted to keep it that way. So let's hope that the worst has gone. Anyway, let's not talk about virus. Let's talk about craft. So I'm going to put that to one side because, as I said, we're using lots of different elements and building things up quite a bit. So I'm going to just pop that to one side for the moment. So first of all, I'm going to use some of the Icing Sprays. So we've used these before, but in the past, we've quite saturated our paper and used it very much as a coloured background. But today, I'm just going to use a very small amount of it on some white card, just to give a hint of a colour, because that's going to be our background of our card. So I've taken here the ocean. This is the colours that I chose because I'm working with blues and greens today. So ocean, Verviene, and this is the yellow. This is the Seth Apter one, but it's the same consistency in there of these colour ones. So Jaune, they call it, or yellow. So I'm just going to take, now, excuse my wonderful box here. My box is a box that was something delivered to me in here, and I just use that as my spray box just to keep everything in there. So I've just got a piece of white A4 card. It's ordinary card, nothing special at all, not watercolor, not crystal card, nothing else. And I'm literally going to take my sprays, and I'm going to start off with this one, which is the ocean, and I'm just going to give it, find out where the nozzle is, a very light dusting spray, just 2 little sprays. Then I'm going to take the green one and I'm just going to do a little bit of that, 2 sprays of that. And with the yellow one, or jaune, I'm going to take a little bit more, I think, of that. I'm going to go down there as well. So just a bit. You can put in as much as you like. But instead of saturating the background, which I would have done in the past, so here's an example. Let me just take that out now. So this is today's sample where I'm just spraying it on there, but this is in comparison one that I would spray a lot on. So I'm making a landscape for that one. So you can see the difference, quite a difference, and it's just a hint of a colour there. Okay, so I'm going to put that one to one side. It dries fairly instantly. I don't have to work with it for a little while, so I'm just going to let it dry. I could quickly dry it with a hair dryer. No, probably best not with a hairdryer. Heat gun would be better. So I'm just going to leave that to dry because in this heat today we don't need to do anything different. So let us take our dies here. So as you can see, the dies in the packet, there are 3 different sizes and there is also a leaf die. So I've taken my foam and I've taken one piece of A4 foam. I've folded it in quarters and then I've just simply put my dies onto there. It will cut out, I'm using a Gemini Junior, it will cut out all 4 layers all in one go without any trouble at all because it squashes down to sort of next to nothing. So it's absolutely fine, cuts out those no problem. You'll also see on this particular one, or perhaps you won't, show you a bit closer, that each one of them has already got a little hole in the center, which is handy for what we want to do today. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I've chosen that thing to show you. So I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper here because I'm going to work on them. I need to put a bit of colour on them first. So I will start off with the largest flower, and now it depends on how you want to use it, but when you see the finished flower, I think you'll agree that we really need all 4 layers for this flower. Okay, I'm choosing to colour it with the VersaFine Clair, and because I'm going with blues and greens, I've chosen to colour it with Warm Breeze. Now this is a pigment ink, so it's got an oil base to it, so it does tend to blend quite nicely. I'm going to go only from the middle though, so I'm going to pick up a bit of my ink with one of the smaller blending brushes, and I'm afraid they still aren't in, but they will be. I'm going to take off the worst of it first, not the worst, but the majority of it, and then I'm just going to, in a circle around that little stamen hole, or hole, we don't know, it's going to be stamens. I'm just going to go round lightly. Okay, so I'm just going round in a circle, nothing special, nothing exciting other than that. So I will need to do both sides though, so I'm just going to check your messages so that I can do that at the same time. I do think it's important just to take the worst of it off because that first blob can be rather too dark otherwise. So I'm going to turn them all over and I'm going to do the other side. Okay. You can't hear anything, Fiona. Oh, I do not know why. The wonders of technology, eh? Although I have to say, in the last few weeks, what would we have done in general without the internet? We have got so used to it, and it has been a godsend for many, many people to be able to keep in contact, hasn't it? Not least for the fact I've been able to see my little baby. So FaceTime is a wonderful thing. So I've got my 4 flowers. They have been with my VersaFine Clair onto both sides of them. Okay, I'm going to do them in a minute as well. So then when I pick up my flower, I've got no, what's the word? Delicate parts to this flower. Most flowers shapes that you see for dies will be cut down here so that you have got the loose petals. But in this particular case, they're not. And in actual fact, to make this flower, it makes it just perfect. So in order to do it, we're just going to grab hold and just pull slightly, not very much, just pull these petals. If you tear one, it doesn't matter. But if you sort of hold on like this and just pull them, then I'm going to fold my flower in half or in thirds, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a twist. So I'm twisting it very hard, almost as if I wanted to break it, but I don't. And then I'm just going to open that up. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with all of these. You could get very fancy and pull these petals apart very much so, and be fiddling about all morning. And if you've got the time and the patience, then that's absolutely fine. But we just want to show you how to do it so that you can actually achieve this, really. I was speaking to one of our lovely ladies yesterday, and she said she's having trouble making the flowers. I hope that she manages to watch this later. But flowers are a bit of an art, I think, but with the flower foam, I think that they're pretty good. I mean, you could do the foamarian or whatever it's called and heat them, but I don't do heat. I do easy, just popping them all together. Oh, let's pull these apart. You could do it, not pull them slightly, but I just think it looks nice. So just gently easing them apart, then folding it in half and like that, and a good old twist. Okay, so we've got our first 4 petals there. Now in the bundle today are some of the Leanne Creative Stamens. Now, why I've chosen them for you is the fact that they come with 2 different sorts within the packet. If you order them online, they are of a separate random colours. They're all nice colours, but they're all random colours. So you might have a purple, a pink, or a blue, or a green, or whatever. But there are 80 pearlescent and there are 80 matte in there. So you can see from there that it's quite a nice, hopefully you can see, quite a nice selection, that you've got some with a pearl end and some with a matte end, which is quite nice. Now these are cotton ones, so they're not wired in any way, but we are going to wire them. So I've got a few over here I've randomly put together, and I'm going to pick up probably about half a dozen or 8 of them. Hold on, let's go. Let's actually say 6 of them, I think. Okay, and I'm going to pop them so that they are actually in a row like that. So they're all together. Okay, then I'm going to get a piece of wire, and I'm actually using the piece of wire that connected these when they all came together as a bundle. So again, nothing very special. I'm going to pop my piece of wire over the top and then just fold that over there. So they're just sort of trapped. This is just sitting in the middle of them. So I've folded them in half, and then I'm just going to pull this wire down. That just holds that in place like that. Okay. So I'm then going to take my first petal and I'm going to thread my stamens through the hole that is already in your die, and I'm going to pull that through like that. Okay, so pull it through to as far as you want to do it. I mean, you can make long stamens like we did with the fuchsias, or you can make shorter ones. So I'm going to make it there. They're about 1 centimetre out. I'm going to get my hot glue gun. I'll turn that on, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue right down here at the base of the stamens. Okay, just wait for that to get to heat. There you go. Oh, get it going first, just at the base, just a little dab of glue. And then I'm going to hold that and I'm going to cup that round. So I'm not going to touch that bit of glue because although I have got quite strong fingers, I don't want to touch that bit of glue, thank you. So I'm just going to hold it closed so that it grabs the glue all the way round and I'm not going to have to touch it in any shape or form. Okay, so then it will keep together like that because the glue is holding it together. I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to thread another one on, and at the back of this one I'm going to put another little bit of glue so that when this one comes along it will hold it in place. And as with all the flowers, I'm just going to try and offset the petals so that the scalloped part of that bit is between the ones that's coming up, if you see what I mean. Okay. Again, just hold that in place like that. You can see we're coming together there already. I'm going to do the same again. So a bit of glue at the back of this one. And then bring that into place, just twirling the petals round so that they're coming alternating again. Bring that down so that it picks it up. And then last one, last bit of glue, well, not last bit of glue actually, one more bit of glue there. And then just pop that down again so that the petals hopefully are in the right place, like so. And then at the very back, I'm just going to put a bit of glue all the way round and then just let that dry off. Oh, because I'm going to be cutting some of that down like that. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that upside down for a minute whilst that just dries off. And I do really want to make them as well, I think. So let's just, but I have made some earlier, as you can imagine. So here we are. Here are all the three sizes. All put together. Okay, and you can see hopefully then that the colouring that you put in the centre, here's one I did with a mauvey colour. Hope you can see that. Doesn't show up very well on my camera, but there's more of a mauvey colour in there, and I've used the pink Stamens. And here, as we said, I've used the Warm Breeze. It was the same type of ink, the Warm Breeze and the turquoise Stamens for this particular one. So you can see also that there's the three different sizes of the dies themselves. They give three nice shapes there. Okay, so pop that to one side. That's not quite finished because when this glue will go quite opaque when it's actually completely set. So I will leave it for a minute, but you can see that the idea there is beautiful. So I'm going to pop that to one side again. So then we're going to go back to our piece of paper that we sprayed, and we're going to do a 7x7 card, and so I need to choose which part of this that I want to have as my background, and I'm going to trim that down to 16 centimetres by 16 centimetres. So let me see. Now, I quite like the fact that there's a bit of blue on its own up here and a bit of white. So I think I'm going to actually go for that sort of a shape. So 16 is actually there. So we'll go for that. 16. I'm going to take a bit off of there because I don't want so much white. And then I'm going to trim the whole piece down so that I've got a 16 centimetre Now that bit there, that extra bit, do want that, so I'm just going to put that to one side. So here's my 7x7 card, and I've already cut out a darker green, olive green layer for that. And I think I want that way round. So that's going to go in the centre, so we can glue that down. And as I said, I'm today taking lots of different dyes and using very different elements. So I have got a dye that is a twig circle that was from Marianne, I think, but quite a while ago, and is no longer available, I'm afraid. But I'll show you what I did with another circle one. So you can use anything that you've got. I've got John Next Door bird cages. I have got some foliage. I've got some John Next Door elderflower. All sorts to go in there. So just stick that down there. Hold on. Press that down on there. I find they're quite relaxing too, I must admit, making flowers. So there's my base. So hopefully you can see that it's sort of very unusual. It's a very nothing much to it base really, but it's you could have put stencils, you can really go to town on it. So want to take my twig. So this is my twig. Let me just show you one that I thought of I could have used as well. Now, it's not along the same theme that I wanted to use, but you can just see that any of your dies that you might have that are rounded in any shape or form will give rise to this beautifully, because that's what you're trying to do. The fact that it's twigs on here is irrelevant. You could use the star ones or anything that's a round circle, and I think preferably a bit of a pattern to it rather than as just a solid circle for this particular case. Okay, so I'm going to pop that there. I've then got some orange blossom leaves. All right, and these are from Sue Wilson, again about 3 or 4 years ago, and they are going to go, just hold on, let's actually stick some of this down. I'm going to get some of my glue glaze for this to stick on the back, because again I don't want it stuck in all over. I could use the sticky sheets, but I don't want it to stick in quite that way. I don't want absolutely everything to stick down. I want a little bit of movement on it. So I'm just going to roll a little bit of glue onto the backs in various places for it to stay stuck. So I'm going to put that fractionally to one side, okay, because my flowers are going to go down here, so I want that fractionally to one side. So then I'm going to put my flowers into place. So I'm going to put my leaves, hold on, I need to mould my leaves a bit. I'm just getting my fingernail in and just pulling the leaves up a little bit, just so that they don't look quite so flat. They are fantastic, aren't they? Your husband, well, yes, they don't understand these things, Rachel, but those sticky specks are absolutely brilliant for the sort of thing. I mean, as I say, you could use it for this, but I don't want it to be completely flat, but it's perfect for that, because as you can see, it isn't easy to put a bit of glue on there otherwise. But with those sticky specks, just so clever. So you can see that these dies are left and right, so that is quite nice, I think, quite a nice effect. Oh gosh. Could have used my glue glaze with this as well, couldn't I, really? But still, there you go. So, one to go up that away, and one to go down that away. Okay, so then I'm going to turn my glue gun back on again, because I find that you can use this glue, you can use the super tacky glue to stick your flowers on, but I do actually prefer to stick them on when I want them to be quick with the glue gun, because it's easier to show you. Then I'm going to take some of my elderflower as well, so that's going to come, I've got bits and pieces for that, but let's put my flowers in place first. So I'm going to have my largest one in the middle, so let's pop a good bit of glue onto the back of that, and it will need just holding into position just whilst it goes off. Okay. I suppose it's a bit like we don't understand their love for the football and things like that, isn't it, with sticky specs? You could say it's a little bit sad getting excited about something like that, really, but we won't say that, will we? So let's pop that onto there. And we'll put that one down here. Hold that into place till it sets, and then finally this little one, a bit more glue onto there, up the top there. And again, because the hot glue gun goes off so quickly, it does sort of help, I think, really. So then I'm just going to put a little bit of, again, hot glue gun onto my back of my elderflower, and I'm just going to poke that underneath, hold that down like that, and then another little bit up here, onto there. Okay, so then I've got one of John next door's bird cages, which I've cut out with the silver card, just to give it a bit of a sheen. And I'm just gently bending that a little bit, because I want to give that a little bit of movement. And they do have little birds in the cage as well. So I'm going to pop him into the centre there. And then I'm going to put some glue glaze just on the outer edges so that I can bend it slightly. Okay, just on those outer edges. And the good thing is that that will sort of take quickly. So I'm just going to keep that bent and then just hold that down so that, not sure if you can see, can you see the dimension on that? Yeah, so that the cage is actually sticking up there, not quite finished. I've then taken one of the butterflies. Now, this is this is the butterfly die, and it comes with both the base like this that you cut out, so you could cut that out in colour or whatever, but I've cut that one out in white, and then I'm going to just cut this one, which is more lacy, from somewhere on this piece of card that was left over from the background. And I'm going to go for the more colourful bits just there. So I'm just going to put that on there. Whoops. Pop a little bit of low tack tape and run that through my machine. So you can see it cuts out like that. Take these bits off. Just pop that out. Oh, got bits of stringy glue stuck to me as well. I think you'll agree that that sort of matches in there nicely. But if you then pop him onto the top, and these dies were set so that the background fits exactly, so no butterfly really has got a little border all the way around it, so that one fits on there quite nicely. So I'm going to take my glue glaze and just stick my butterfly's wings just down the centre of his body. Whoops. So it does fit exactly on there. Just using my pokey tool to hold him down, and then I can, whilst I'm still holding it down, I can lift the wings of my butterfly up a little bit. Okay, and also want to curl the bottom bits up as well. And then to pop him into position, he's going to go up here. I'm going to just use the glue glaze on the back there. And I'm only going to put that down on his body. I don't want it flat. So I'm just putting the glue onto the back on the middle bit, because I don't want that. So I'm just going to hold that down just for a second. Whoops, we're nearly there. We're nearly there. I expect you'll be pleased to hear that, but we're nearly there. So just need a sentiment to go on now. And I've just cut one out in white. We used this one a couple of days ago, or whenever it was. And I've just cut that out of the same card that I've cut out the butterfly bits and pieces. So it's got a little bit of a sheen to it. And good old sticky specs. I'm moving that, if anyone wonders why I put it quite there, is I'm moving it about so that obviously when you use it, it does actually pick up the little micro dots of glue, and so you do have to move it around a bit to make sure you get all your money's worth really out of it, because you can use it for quite a time before there's just no real dots left on there. So I'm just going to pop that down here. You could do it in a different colour, but I want the emphasis to be on this part as opposed to the actual sentiment. So you've got a much lighter sentiment. Okay. And then, in good old tradition, such a beautiful card like that, we can't just put that in an envelope. We can't just send it just like that. We need to make a box. So if you were with me earlier in the week, I was making the box, and I have already made one here. So I've measured my card, which was 7 by 7, and I've added 2 inches all the way round. So it was from a 12 by 12 piece of card. Obviously, it had to be. It wouldn't fit, unfortunately, on an A4. So I've cut it at 9 inches, and then scored 1 inch all the way round, and then that's for the lid, and then for the bottom I've just done it 1/8 of an inch shorter, so it's 8 7/8 by 8 7/8, but it's still scored at 1 inch all the way round. I've then taken the same coloured green card that I used for the card itself as a background, and a bit of a bluey green piece of paper that I had left over. So my card then fits in there nicely with the box, like so. And let's just finish it off. Let's finish it off with the flower that we had earlier. So there's my finished flower. You can see possibly that it's now gone quite opaque, that colour, so you can see it's all dry. So therefore I can cut my stamens off right at that end. They're all sealed in. I can put my hot glue gun on. So I'm taking my same flowers. No, I think I only just want one. One and a little bit. So let's put that down at the same time. Let's mould this a little bit. Do I have the stamens that are on their own and different colours? It would make a nice picture, wouldn't it? I must admit it's almost a picture rather than a card, but that's why it's got to go in a box, really, because if you gave this to someone, I think hopefully they'd be quite impressed with that. They wouldn't be saying, "Oh, you made me a card, that's nice." They'd be hopefully saying, "Oh wow, did you make that?" So let's pop our leaves and bits and pieces in there. A little bit of special glue onto there, and then our lovely, well, don't know what flower you'd call it, really. Peony type flower, not sure. I'm going to just hold it on there to get it to stick, and then fluff it up again in a minute. You could put your sentiment on here as well, but I've chosen a pretty paper that goes with it all, and that's quite a busy paper, so I don't think it needs 2 sentiments. Okay, just whilst think about it, that's the bit that I cut off with all the stamens where I added the bit of wire. So you just need to remove all those stamens ends, chuck them away, and then you've still got your bit of wire to use, well, not forever, but you know, for quite a few times. So there's your box all finished, and then your inside card, which is quite different. A little bit of vintagey look, a bit of foam, a bit of all sorts. I'm sure you've got butterflies and foliage that you could use. The offer, as I said, is for the flower foam, the flower stamens, and the flowers dies. But they are available separately, not the stamens. The stamens aren't available separately, but the other ones are. I'm waiting for the stamens that are wired to come in still. So I did have a few left, but they have all gone. But I've not done that with that. The only thing with the wired stamens at the moment is they just basically come in a white, and I just wanted to enhance the different colours that you could get. Okay, so I hope you like it. I think you did, from what I can see. So that's pretty nice. I'm glad you did. I am back on Wednesday. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do with you on Wednesday, but I've got some ideas to show you, and usually Wednesday is a revisited one, a die that you will have at the back of your pile and not used much maybe, so that'll be nice to have a go with that. I'm glad you like the card. I do hope you have a nice weekend or the rest of the weekend and enjoy the sun if that's your thing. Don't work too hard if you've got to go to work. All the things that you've seen today that are available are on the Facebook Live products, apart from the sprays. If you wanted any of the sprays, they are in the Izink section, but they are all available in the Izink section of the website. Okay, so thank you very much. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you hopefully on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Thanks for joining me. Bye.